welcome to or welcome back to my channel. I'm Stacy. If you are new here, hello. It has been a little while since I've done one of these videos where I just sit down and kind of share my heart with you guys. I've taken a lot of time to reflect over the past few months. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I have been going through it. I have been in the darkest depths of my soul the last few months. As a lot of you might know, if you've been following my journey the last few years have been just a roller coaster for me. So just kind of learning how to navigate it, move through it as gracefully as possible. But this was kind of an all-time low for me. I'm excited now that I'm kind of on the other side of it to share. Are you gonna find a spot? I got my doggo over here outside of the camera, but this is Onyx. She's gonna curl up with us, I think. So if you want to grab something to drink, get cozy, I have some notes over here to kind of keep me on track. So if you see me glancing over here, I'm just kind of checking in with myself, make sure that I'm where I need to be. I've got a cup of garden mint tea and lemon balm to kind of calm my nerves. It has, I think it's peppermint and lavender and then fresh lemon balm from my garden. I just had an interview today, my first interview in almost 10 years. I think 9 years ago was my last interview that I've ever had to do. It was so nerve-wracking. I stumbled over my words a couple times per usual. I think that's just me. I think that's just my personality in general. I just kind of, I tend to try to speak so fast that I stumble over my words. I'm working on that throat chakra. But sometimes I need to remind myself to just breathe and go, okay, now we can speak from a centered place. But, you know, I feel like, at least my husband said when I called him afterwards, he's like, I've done some interviewing lately, and I think everybody kind of goes into interviews kind of the same. They've got the jitters, they got the nerves, they stumble over their words. You probably did just fine. So I'm clinging to that. So shout out to my husband for bringing me back down. But yeah, I'm excited. As you guys probably know, I have struggled to find something to bring in more income. I have tried to get 2 businesses going with 2 other women. And if you guys don't know that story, they are both kind of ripped away from me at the very last minute. I did have another opportunity to, just recently, actually, I was going to start this job on the 7th of April, and it was just going to be like, cleaning, like new build clean outs, like getting them ready for move in. So nothing gross, like cleaning out like old people stuff, but just, yeah, new build clean outs. And that fell through at the very last minute. And so at that point, I just sunk to an all-time low. Like, what am I supposed to be doing? A lot of you know I'm very spiritual. I trust in God, spirit, the universe. I use those terms interchangeably. I just believe in a creator, higher power. And it comes in so many different labels. I'm not here to argue which label is the right one. Each of us has our own label, and that's just beautiful. I don't believe that we should be fighting over labels. And so I've just kind of surrendered, to God. I've voiced my frustration to the universe. Like, I've been trying to put myself out there. I've been trying to get things going, and nothing ever sticks. And I apologize in advance if I get emotional, because it's been very hard to be home day in and day out working from home. I still do a little bit of hair from home, but that in itself has dwindled. I've lost client after client after client. It's gotten to a point where I can't even count on a solid income. People will cancel at the last minute, which then that chunk of money is taken away from me, and I don't think they really mean to do it, but it's been hard to navigate that, especially because these clients who have now seen me at my home have kind of turned to be, friends, and so that's been a little bit difficult for me to navigate. And so my interview had nothing to do with hair. So I'm kind of feeling like maybe that will be something I can let go of eventually, or just keep it, on the weekends. But yeah, it's been a rough road for me, in the career department, which then just kind of brings, I guess you could say it's been like a little bit of a bout of depression in some ways, which then, kind of affects friendships, partnerships, like all the things, right? And so, yeah, I just have gotten out of a dark night of the soul. And if you guys don't really know what that term means, it is kind of thrown around in the spiritual communities, but it's just basically this period of time where you're just kind of in your darkness. And it's nothing bad. Our darkness is so beautiful. So I want to say that, like, first and foremost, don't be afraid of your darkness. I know that it can be scary when you are in it and things don't make sense and you're faced with old wounds. I'll get into that in a little bit, and kind of share a little bit of like examples of how certain things showed up in my reality that were forcing me to look at old wounds, things that I had just repressed down for so long. And you guys have probably heard me talk so much about like healing trauma. I'm on a healing journey and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, what is that? What is the healing journey? What is the spiritual journey? And I kind of want to just say right off the top that I don't really like the term spirituality. It gets, it can kind of get a bad rap. And so I'm just following my intuition and letting God, source, universe, lead me. The healing journey is really just coming back to the self, coming back to your true essence. When you were born into this world, before you took on your parents' beliefs and your grandparents' beliefs and your teachers' beliefs and your best friends' beliefs and these guys in your life's beliefs and like what they say that you are, and like, if you were a little girl or a little boy who, just had a lot of energy and wanted to be, you wanted the attention and you wanted your parents' attention at all times, and you wanted to put on shows and skits and sing, and you might have been told like, oh, you're just too much, like, God, settle down, like, I don't have time for this right now, blah, blah, blah. Those little things create this version of you that's not your original self, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like untying all these little subconscious programs that you might not even be conscious or aware that you have. And trauma doesn't necessarily have to be this like huge dramatic event that happened to you. But it can be something, as little as being told, you're too much. you know, you're too loud, you're too in people's faces, you just need to settle down, you need to stop, you know, those little things as a young person, create a story in your, you know, in your head and who you are, and that's how you then start operating out of. And then trauma can be as something as bad as, you know, I'm going to use the word raped, or molested or kidnapped, or, you know, those bigger kinds of things are also very traumatic, or losing somebody in your life at a very young age, like traumatically, or, you know, whatever. So it can be this huge spectrum of things that you have to heal within yourself. So I've been on this 5-year journey. I had, just to kind of like go back a little bit, I had my spiritual awakening, what I would call a spiritual awakening, in 2020. My eyes opened to things that I've, you know, never learned about, never knew about. And it was like the conspiracy realm. So I'm going to talk about conspiracy a little bit later, but that's kind of where it started. And so I was like seeking all this knowledge, and all this stuff was coming into my, you know, realm of awareness. And I was just like mind blown here, mind blown there. And I wanted to basically I was so excited. It was all this new knowledge, right? And I was just like, oh, on this like high. I was riding this like conspiracy high, and I wanted everybody in my little circle to believe in what I believed in. And I wasn't getting that. I was met with a lot of resistance from a lot of my family, some friends, and even my husband. I really only had my sister and her husband that were already awakened to this stuff. I actually thought they were crazy before my awakening. So I've had to definitely apologize and show them, you know, respect that they did know a thing or two. And so, yeah, I just had, you know, not very many people I could share with, and it did disrupt my marriage quite a bit. Over the last few years, it's been kind of a roller coaster the last 4 years. And so I realize now that those first few years of just being this like conspiracy seeker, and like, it was coming from such a place of ego. I was right and everybody else was wrong. And it's taken this dark night of the soul to really realize that and become aware that I was operating from such a place of ego. I don't believe now that there is any right or wrong. And I'll get into that later. So I had to really tame my ego. I had to put myself in check, and it came in like the hardest, most abrupt way. And, to get into that a little bit, I'm going to talk about influencers and being influenced in social media. So this is kind of my first little stint back into social media after my complete crash and burn. And I mean, like, I came falling flat on my face about 3 months ago. Like my whole world was about to crash before my eyes. And so I removed myself from social media for about 2 months. I was about to divorce my best friend. Like, I was literally looking at apartments. We had agreed to a divorce because the women I was following were all single, and they could travel and they could do what they wanted, and they had the space to practice their spirituality and all this stuff. And I was just consuming and consuming and consuming all of this content that was basically just them projecting their pain and things like that. Like, there was a couple gals I was following that were going through their own kind of like divorce and breakup, and they were talking and, you know, spewing, projecting all of this stuff about, you know, what women deserve and what a divine feminine deserves from a divine masculine, and all of this content just kind of spiraled out of control within myself, thinking like, you're right, like my husband needs to have my back in everything that I'm doing and blah blah blah. And it started triggering up all these old wounds of like, my parents were married for 20 years, and when I was 16 they got a divorce, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I just kind of repressed all my feelings because I had a younger sister that I wanted to look out for, who she didn't really want anything to do with my dad at the time because she was very upset, but I didn't want my dad to be alone. So I, you know, went and stayed with him more full time, but we didn't have any kind of restrictions. So I would go to my mom's anytime that I wanted to as well. But my bed was like at my dad's, and I stayed there most of the time. But anyways, I didn't realize how traumatic that really was for me as a 16-year-old girl. And I must have within myself said, I won't let this happen to me. I will do anything I need to do for love so nobody leaves me. So, you know, and that is the trauma that I'm talking about. So I have a deeply rooted fear of abandonment that I didn't really know that was so deep. So when I took the time to reflect on all of my relationships from my first high school boyfriend to my husband now, I've gone through and dissected all of these patterns and the things that I would do for these men. I overexerted my giving. I depleted myself for these men, because I was so afraid of them leaving me. But the universe is a mirror. So every single person in our life mirrors something within us. And usually it's our deepest fear. And it is my belief that in this lifetime, you will be faced with your deepest fear. And it's my belief that this ascension, you hear the words ascension, or, you know, in religion, it's like the rapture, if you will, like all of these different terminologies. I think it's just breaking free from the fear. And so if you have this deeply rooted fear of abandonment, like me, you might see this reflect in your life of losing people leaving you. And that's what I experienced. Every single man in my life has cheated or betrayed me one way or the other, some in way more extreme ways and some very subtle, but nonetheless, that was what was reflected to me. And so going into my marriage, I remember first starting to date Matt, and I have definite issues my whole, young adult life, issues revolving around pornography and cheating and like all this kind of stuff, stemming from my childhood. I was basically, not taught, but what I experienced as a young girl, it programmed me to believe that it was a bad thing. And, that stems with like masturbation too, just to, paint a picture. So like masturbation, self-touch, and pornography, it was all just this bad, taboo, like bad thing, because I got in trouble for walking in on somebody significant in my life doing that. And so I was scolded, and it just programmed me to think that it was bad, that what they were doing was a bad thing. And so I took that into all of my relationships, and that is a lot of what I dealt with. Just being, transparent and real. And I share this just because if it happened to me, I know that somebody else out there has experienced the same trauma and triggers too. So I share this. I want to be vulnerable and raw with you guys, because if it just helps one person feel heard and seen, and not alone on this journey, then that's all that I care about. Because I know that I felt alone the majority of this whole journey, and I don't want anybody else to feel alone anymore. So nonetheless, I experienced that, and then every single relationship of mine revolved around that. So after relationship after relationship after relationship of this happening, the last relationship I had before my husband, I remember him saying, you're never gonna find a man that doesn't do this, that won't do this to you. You'll never find him. And I was like, watch me. And so when I just started dating my husband, and it was like our third date, and I just was like, I have to tell you something like right off the bat, because this is like a make it or break it for me. And so I just told him my issue with, masturbation and pornography, and he told me I had nothing to worry about. And we've been together now going on 11 years, and I have never had to worry about that. But I just did apologize to him recently in the last month for putting that on him, because that was my own wound, and I should have never expected him to cater to my wounds. Okay, it's my issue to heal that within me, not expect somebody else to change themselves, right? But nonetheless, I had nothing to worry about, and I view it all a little bit differently now today anyways. And I probably will get into that maybe some other time. But so yeah, and another part of the thing that I wanted to share were about like the trauma is, I remember in that first little bit of dating him, I was so afraid of being left, for not being, sexual enough. Obviously that's where it was kind of stemming from, is like these men would choose to, please themselves or look at pornography, and then, but not, have sex with me or make love with me. And that was damaging as a young girl, a young adult. And, all those thoughts of like, why are you choosing this over me, and like not understanding it. And so taking that trauma into my new relationship, I was like, I'll never say no to you. If you like, no matter what, if you want it, I'll never say no. And I've had to sit and literally call in that version of me and say, honey, it's okay to say no. It's okay to not want to be sexual all the time. It's okay, to go a week or two without having to be intimate in that way. That there is more ways to be intimate with a partner, and like just telling that version of me that it was never my burden to carry. And so doing that, I healed that part of me. So going back to like the influence and social media, I realized, for a long time I was like, God, I want to be an influencer. I've been stuck at home with the kids for the last 5-6 years, watching my career dwindle and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, well, what can I do at home, oh, social media, I could try to become, you know, social media famous. But I was doing it in such the wrong way. And then going, you know, looking at all the things that influenced me in the wrong way, to the point of where I was about to literally wreck my whole family, because it seemed easier to just let it all go because I was being influenced that I deserved better, not realizing how fucking great and amazing my family and life really is. And that's how social media and this realm of influencing can be so toxic, and it can be such a slippery slope into darkness. And I really want to talk about that, because now I'm like, good God, I do not want to influence anybody. I do not want to influence anybody one way or the other. I want to be the neutral in someone's life. I want to be the base frequency where you can rise from it. I don't want to preach my way is the right way, which so many influencers do, even in the spiritual realm. I want to be a gentle guide, that if you need a nudge out of the darkness, I will be there. You know, I just want to be a gentle guidance, not an influencer. I want to share my trials and tribulations and my joy and things that worked for me, things that didn't work for me, so then you can decide within yourself if it's aligned with you, if it's in resonance with you, if my frequency is resonance with yours. And I want my frequency to raise your frequency. So I jumped off social media for 2 months to go inward, to shut out all the noise. And it was the most difficult 2 months, but it was so purposeful. It really got to show me who my true people are, because only a few noticed I was gone, and only a few took the time to reach out and ask if I was okay. And so I did a huge cleanup. I did a big cleanup, and I'm still watching, I'm still observing the people who really do have my back and who are actually tried and true family and friends. And I mean, it doesn't mean blood family. Like, some of my closest people that I consider family aren't blood related. And then even like when I jumped back on social media, I just kind of like, not even for just like for a split second, just to let people know that I was alive, that I was okay, that I wasn't really ready to come back onto social media. I gave my personal number, so people could reach out to me in real life. And literally only 2 people reached out. So that just showed me a lot. It really showed me who truly cares about me as a human being. So yeah, I'm kind of done with the era of needing all these followers and likes and you know, all that kind of stuff, because the true MVPs are, I know who they are now, and it's becoming very crystal clear to me. So it was a really good a good tool to see who really actually cares about my heart, and notices when my presence isn't there and actually misses my presence. So the rest of it is all just fake in my eyes, and I'm done being fake. I am done people pleasing. I'm done I'm done doing anything for other people that isn't in alignment with me. So yeah, my tea is cool now, so I'm gonna take a sippy sip. I hope this is all kind of making sense. I really hate editing videos, so this is just gonna be a pretty raw, real video with minimal edits, because yeah, editing is just annoying to me. So yeah, so I'm now back on social media a bit, and it feels a lot different. Like I said, I went through and cleaned up my Instagram feed, unfollowed so many people that just don't engage, don't bring anything to my table, don't add any value really, and just kind of a place like just to start fresh. And so if I get on social media, it's just like a few things in my feed where I'm not going to go down all these, all these influenced paths and things like that, if that makes sense. And I just want to say, if you're somebody, you realize that I unfollowed you, it's not because I don't care or anything. I'm just kind of starting at a blank slate, and I just want to follow people who take the time to engage with me and not just sit and peek into my life type of a thing. So don't take it personally. If you want me to follow you back, then engage and be a part of my life. Share my content, like my content, help me grow, okay? Because that's what I try to do for other people. I try to, what I want people to do for me, I try to do for other people, and I want that like mutual respect. I'm tired of people just having free access to my life. I'm gonna be very picky on what I do share on social media, because like I said, I don't want people just to have a free look into my life, just to sit on the sidelines and peek at my life. So I realized that the content I was putting out prior to my 2 months off of social media was coming from a place of ego. I was trying to teach from a I'm right and this is wrong kind of a place. And almost trying to teach this knowledge that I was learning, but not taking the time to embody it. And so this 2 months off of social media really helped me to embody the knowledge that I was learning about. Sound healing. I'm now sound, I have a certification in sound healing, and I'm super excited. I don't exactly know what I'm going to do with it. If you're like an OG to this account, you can scroll to like almost the bottom of my videos. I do have some sound healing. I had some sound bowls because I was going to start a business where we were going to do full moon circles, and I was going to be the sound healer, because I've been drawn to sound, frequency, energy since my awakening. The first few things I dabbled in was Nikola Tesla. And his famous quote is, if you want to know the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And that's me at my core. That's what I'm most passionate about. And so yeah, I was going to start that, and that ended up failing. And at that point I wasn't where I am now with my spirituality and my connection to God. And so I was pissed. I was pissed at God, and I was like, I wanted nothing to do with spirituality. And so I just kind of shoved it all away, and returned my sound bowls and everything like that. And so it's interesting to come back, 5 years later, not 5 years later, but 3 years later, and now I'm have my certification in sound healing. So I think that's kind of cool. And so I'm not really sure what I'll do with it. I might, put out videos that are just very calming, 10 to 30 minute videos of just sound healing where you can just almost like a meditation. But like I said, I don't really know, so don't hold me to that. I'm just kind of, trusting the universe. I'm at a very like surrendered stage in my life. Like what is meant for me will come with ease. Aligned action. So like I said, this interview I just had today, it fell in my lap. My husband did have a little bit to do with that, putting some words into some people's ears, and it just kind of like happened. So I'm really grateful for that. And so yeah, I've had to take this time to really embody the knowledge that I was learning. And then when you embody that knowledge and experience the things, then you get the knowing, then you have the wisdom, because then you're taking something that you've learned, you've experienced it in your life, and that turns to wisdom. Excuse me. So a lot of you who have probably, I've been in this conspiracy realm for, like I said, the past 5 years. And I will no longer consider myself a conspiracy theorist. I am now to this place where I am no longer seeking this information outside of myself, because when you go as deep into the rabbit holes as I have gone, and let me tell ya, I have gone down every conspiracy rabbit hole you could probably think of. And when you go that deep, you come out the other side just knowing that it's all half-truths. There is deceit and lies in the conspiracy realm, just as there are lies and false information in the not conspiracy realm. So if you find yourself in this conspiracy realm, just know that you're not right and the other people are not wrong, and you are not wrong and they are not right. So going from the seeker to the knower, the only truth that you will come to know is the experiences that you actually experience in your real life. And one example of this is, I've talked about this in other videos, that for a while I considered myself a flat earther. Now don't get me wrong, there is a huge part of me that still believes in the flat earth theory, because it makes sense to me. And my God-given senses tell me that we're not spinning 1,000 miles per hour on a globe. But I will never tell you that I'm right, because I do not know. And until I have that out-of-body experience or whatnot that shows me that it's my truth, or that my truth is the truth, I will never claim to be right ever again. Because that was one of the first things that I was awakened to. I was like, but this all makes sense. Oh my God, that makes sense. And there was NASA documents that proved it, and all this stuff. And then, like I said, you go far enough down the rabbit hole, I started coming in, all this content started coming into my awareness where it was proving that it was wrong, and that the CIA was planting this stuff to derail people off of the true path and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, something clicked. in me. And I was like, everything is just a half truth. Everything is just a half truth in this earthly realm. And that is what the polarity is. There's always going to be polarity. There's always going to be this is right and this is wrong. You know, there's going to be the opposites always. There's going to be information that proves this side, and there's going to be information that proves this side, and nobody is right or wrong. And that's where I realized that I was going about teaching this wisdom such a wrong way, because I was trying to teach it from a place where what I was learning was right and the other people were wrong. And I no longer want anything to do with politics. I no longer want anything to do with religion. I no longer want to do with any of these things that are put in place to divide people. That's all that they are, is to get people to think their side is right and the other side is wrong. And you cannot, I've gotten to a place within my heart that you cannot tell somebody that their truth is wrong. What they grew up in, what they have learned as truth, what they've experienced as truth is true for them. And who am I to tell them that what they've experienced and why they believe a certain way because of it is wrong? No. That's so icky. It's so icky to me. So I learned that there is darkness and division in the conspiracy realm too. And so I've unfollowed a lot of conspiracy content creators, influencers on that, in that realm, because it just no longer resonates with me at all. I don't believe anymore that, that Trump's gonna save the world. I never, ever want to take a side. I will never take a political stance one way or the other. I firmly believe that God, source, creator, has everything in control. Everything in control. And no matter who is the face of America, they are in office for our highest and greatest good. Whether that be to break down the system, which I personally believe Trump is going to be the downfall of America, but that's his divine purpose. He's the bringer of chaos. He stirs the pot. He's going to break down the system that we can all agree is no longer serving any of us. We are stronger together as a human race. And this system that is in place right now is only there to divide us from our sex, religion, race, all of this stuff. The system is just to divide. And so we need to come together as one human race and realize that we need to care about each other no matter what our beliefs are. And if you truly, truly, truly stand for America, then no matter who is in office, you best believe that they're going to do something great for us. If you're always going at it as they're gonna tear us down, they're gonna make everything bad, you're creating that, and that's what you're going to see. But if you can just center yourself and say, okay, this person is just a person, it's just a face. I'm going to trust that this person is in office for our highest and greatest good. And whatever ends up happening is divinely happening for our highest and greatest good, right? That's truly where I stand now. So I apologize if I ignore you, if you keep sending me all of this conspiracy stuff. It no longer brings me peace. And I just want to be in a place of peace. And I want to believe that everything is happening for our highest and greatest good, no matter what. Even if it looks dark sometimes, because coming out of my dark night of the soul, I've realized I had to go to the depths of my own darkness to see the light again, to see. That's the polarity, right? If you're in your darkness, then you'll be able to see the light. You'll be able to realize how good you do have it in certain areas. And I'll never forget, I'll actually tell you this story because, like I said, me and Matt, my husband, had agreed to a divorce. He was looking into what to do with the house. I was looking at apartments. We were literally just about to tell our kids. And this is why I'm so thankful that it happened when it did, because I did get to save them that hurt. And that kind of like uncertainty. They didn't have to feel like the foundation in their lives were being rocked, even though my foundation was completely wrecked. But I had the craziest experience. So I'm sure now most of you know that I am very into plant medicine. And not to take plant medicine to go party. Like, I've never taken mushrooms to go like rave and, that kind of a stuff. And if that's something that you're into, like, no judgment. But I have such a high respect for plant medicine and the wisdom that they carry. And so I've dabbled in journeys with psilocybin for a few years now. And I had an experience 3 years ago that was like so crazy. And I actually lost my voice. Well, I didn't really lose my voice. I just chose not to speak, or I just didn't speak for like 4 hours. And just like 2 months ago, right before all this, this happened, or the moment it happened, I came crashing down, was, we had agreed to a divorce, and we were me and Matt were out in the garage, smoking, and I don't know what had happened, but I had realized, like, oh my God, what is happening? Like, I can't, this is too much. Like, I literally gave myself a panic attack. But I started not really like making sense when we were talking out in the garage. And so we came in and I wanted to go lay down, but Kinsley was in our room in the bath. And so I just went and lay down in her bed. And all of a sudden, like, my heart just starts racing. I can't breathe. And I'm like, holy shit, I think I'm having a panic attack. And so I get myself up, Matt's in the kitchen, and I'm like, Matt, I think I'm having a panic attack. And he just grabs me. He's like, okay. And he's like, did you do mushrooms? And I was like, no, I would never do mushrooms like with the kids home. Like, every single time they've been safe at somebody's house, like, very responsible in that way. And he's like, are you sure? Because you are acting just like you do on psilocybin. And I was like, I promise you, I swear I did not. And he's like, okay. And I literally, now knowing what it happened, it's called a flashback. You can look it up, you can Google it. But certain things like stress, like overstressed, will induce this thing called a flashback, which literally put my body in this state where I was reliving a journey that I had 3 years ago. Like, I was going through the motions, everything. And I was just so disoriented, and Matt kind of wanted to, you know, to protect Kinsley from, you know, whatever weirdness I could have done. But so I just went into the bed and I just face planted in my pillows and I didn't move. And I remember Matt coming up to my side of the bed, excuse me, and like rubbing my back and being like, "Are you okay?" But I couldn't speak, or I wouldn't speak. And he was like, "This is so fucking crazy. Like, what is going on?" And inside my bed, it's like my body could not move, but my mind was literally in my worst, deepest, darkest fears. And there's been a few moments in my life from a teenager to an adult where the thoughts of taking my own life have been there. And you can pass judgment all you want right now, but I think more people need to talk about this, because those feelings are so real. They are so real. And I guarantee you, more people than you think at some point in their life have thought, maybe it would just be easier if I wasn't here. And that's the truth. That's my truth. I've lived it. I've experienced it. And I'm not afraid to talk about it, even if it is dark and taboo. More people need to talk about it so people don't feel so fucking alone feeling those feelings. So here I was, face down in my pillow, unable to move, unable to speak, with like the craziest thoughts in my head. And I'm literally there telling my husband, in my mind, not out loud, to get the gun from our safe and just shoot me, because I don't want to be here anymore. And I just want this game to end. Because when you get to a place in spirituality, I don't know what other label to really label it, you get to this place where you do not fear death. Death is not an ending. It's just a new beginning. And when you're at peace with that, comes a lot of thoughts where it might be easier just to take that route. Not that I ever would. I'm pretty sure, 100% positive, 99% positive, that is why my daughter came to this earth. Because I couldn't do that to her. So, little side note, I think I've shared this before, but in case you're new here, I had gotten a Reiki session for the first time done like a couple of years ago, I think now. And I've never met this woman before, and she was, doing her thing, and she stops and she goes, "Do you have a daughter?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And she's like, "She wasn't supposed to incarnate in this lifetime." And that sent chills up my back, because I didn't think I could have kids, and I had been having sexual relations unprotected for 7 years before I became pregnant. And so I just thought that it wasn't in the cards for me. And so when she told me that, it sent chills up my back like no other. And she goes, "She wasn't supposed to incarnate in this lifetime, but she saw your path. She saw the path that you were going down, and she needed to intervene." And I was like, holy shit. That's crazy. That's powerful. And there is over the course of the last few years, I've had like roller coaster things happen in my life, all-time lows, where I've had those thoughts. I've had the dark thoughts of, it would just be so much easier if I just was gone. But the thing that really anchors me here is this beautiful human soul of my daughter. And so now after this latest experience of literally in my mind telling my husband to grab our gun from the safe and just shoot me because I'm tired of all of this. I'm tired of the betrayal. I'm tired of people hurting me. I'm tired of people not seeing me. I'm tired of people thinking that I'm a quack. I'm tired of people thinking I'm crazy and, all of these things, right? It would just be so much easier if I was gone. And she's my earthly angel. She's an earth angel keeping me here because life is so precious. This life here, you guys, is so short. It might seem so awful at times, and granted, there are awful things that do happen here. But it is so precious, all of it. The darkness and the light, everything in between is so precious. And I'm learning that everything is God. Everything is the Creator. The Creator created the darkness in this world so that way we could see the light. And I will not argue that with anybody. If it resonates, it resonates. If it doesn't, it's not your time to understand it. So I had to experience the darkest moments of my life, almost losing my family, splitting my family up, and going back to, it seemed easier just to let it all go. You have that saying in your head that always gets kind of thrown around, is the grass is always greener on the other side. Well, to me, the truth is the grass is always greenest where you water it. And I was realizing that I wasn't tending to my lawn. I wasn't tending to my garden. And that was a big slap in my face. Kids and careers and everything in between can make you lose sight of the good in your life, in the good in your relationship, in all that kind of stuff. You're tired, you get into ruts, you get into this comfortability, and you don't make the intentional effort with your partner anymore and all that kind of stuff. And so even though it was very scary to almost wreck my family, it's like it had to happen. It had to get to that point for us to realize how much we were about to lose and how much we do have and how special what we have really is, and that we just need to be intentional with each other and put date nights on the calendar and family outings on the calendar and just schedule it. Be intentional with it, right? Because the alternative would to have broken up my family, divorced my husband, and then try to, in this world, get back out there and meet somebody. And that first stint of time, you're just putting on a face, like you're just putting on a mask, you're putting your best foot forward, and then you're just gonna eventually get to the same place that you were with somebody else. And it's like, oh my God, exhausting thinking about it. So nonetheless, my marriage is safe. My marriage is good. We have this new like energy within our relationship. We're doing extra things for each other. We're putting each other first. We're being intentional. And it just, I just cannot be more thankful. Even though it was a hard road, I'm so thankful to be where I'm at and to learn that lesson. And knowing my soul at its core, like my whole life I've taken the hard road. I've had to learn things for myself, even though there have been, 5 people telling me, what the fuck are you doing with this guy? I'm like, I don't know until I know. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I have to figure it out for myself. And that's just been me my whole life. I literally bring myself down to these darkest moments, and then I get myself back out of it. And I think that's a beautiful part of me. And I never really looked at it as a beautiful part of me, but I've survived so much. Like, looking back at my life and the relationships I've been in and things I've gotten myself into, dark places I've gotten myself into, it's actually, to be honest, amazing that I am still here. Like, there's so many moments where I probably could have been taken out of this world, either from myself or from somebody else. So I'm so thankful, so fucking thankful to be here. This life here, this earthly human experience is such a blessing. And I feel like such a phoenix rising from the ashes, because I've endured a lot and I've survived all of it, and I've dusted myself off every single time. And that I'm so proud of. Like, I could give myself a big hug. Like, I'm so proud of you, Stacy. Which leads me into, I want to share, I have this beautiful ring that I was just gifted the other day. And this is just the craziest thing. So, you guys know I love Oracle, I love Tarot. I have a couple people that I just specifically follow, that I resonate with their energy. And I've been getting this message for a while now, probably maybe the last 6 months or so, that somebody from my past was going to return. And this time, I let my ego get the best of me. I try to think of who it's going to be, and I was thinking, oh, it's going to be one of my ex-business partners coming back to, tell me how sorry they are and how much they can realize now how much they hurt me, and, all that stuff, trying to control the situation. But the other night, I get this message on Facebook Messenger from a woman I have not spoken to in 25 years, probably 23 to 25 years. And it was so unreal. I was like, holy crap. She spilt her heart to me in such a way. She saw me, I was baffled. I was like, oh my God. I read her message a few times before replying. But it was the most powerful experience. And I replied and I told her, I said, to be honest, you were the last person I would have ever thought would see me or reach out to me. But I have never felt more seen by somebody. And we have a plan to talk on the phone, because I told her, I replied a little bit, but I was like, there's so much I want to say to you, and there's so much that we could talk about, and it'd be so much easier over a phone call. And she agreed. And so we're going to talk and catch up, and I'm so excited for it. And I got this little surprise in the mail yesterday, and it was this ring. It's a black rose ring that I've had on my my Amazon wish list. And I have my Amazon wish list linked in my link tree as just like a spoil me, just for people who, you know, who want a gift. I'm in a very like learning to receive. I've always been the giver. I've always sacrificed myself to give to others. And so Spirit is really having me learn that I am worthy of receiving, that it's okay to have people take care of me and whatnot. So I have that little like spoil me in case somebody, you know, loves a reading that I do, or something wants to like tip me that way, or anyways. So I get this, you know, surprise package in the mail, and the note says, "To a fellow phoenix who has also risen from the ashes," from my friend. And I just want to read what the black rose stands for, because it's so powerful. And on the bottom of it, so like facing me, it says burned and survived. And so the black rose stands for survival. I survived because the fire inside me burns brighter than the fire around me. My scars and scratches make me beautiful. And it's something I've had on my list for a really long time. And when she sent it to me, it was like this confirmation, because I had been getting this message, like I had said, that somebody from my past was going to come back into my life, and that it was going to be genuine. And I have been burned by women my whole adult life. I have a deep sisterhood wound that I have been really trying to work on. And I've had lesson after lesson after lesson in this. And so almost every single woman friendship in my life has betrayed me and stabbed me in the back, told some of my darkest secrets. And it's like I could sit here, and for a long time I did. I sat in the energy of pity me. Why does this happen to me? Why would these women do this to me? And blah, blah, blah. And it's like, Stacy, this is going to keep happening to you until you realize your worth. And until you put up the healthy boundaries that you need to, and until you stop exerting all your energy to people please. And it was a really hard slap in the face. And so anyways, just that little story I wanted to share with you. And I'm just excited to see how this reconnection blossoms, and just where it takes me. I believe in divine timing. I believe in everything happens for a reason. And it was just this little confirmation that I'm healing this sisterhood wound. I am now calling in my tribe of women who will bend over backwards for me. They will be there for me whenever I need to, in my darkest moments and in my most joyful moments. Okay. So yeah, that was a little beautiful confirmation, little wink from God, if you will, kind of like sending this angel back into my life. So yeah. So to kind of wrap up, hold on, my throat needs a little clearing. To kind of wrap up this video, I just kind of want to share a little bit about my views going forward. I really truly don't associate myself with the spiritual community. I think there is so much toxicity in the spiritual community. I think there is false light. I think there are false gurus. Anybody who is trying to teach you that their way is the right way is a big red flag. I want to make that very clear. And if I ever start to teach or share from a place where I'm right, please check me, put me in check, because I know that it's so easy to get, our egos can take over, you know. I want to share what God is to me. I am not a religious person. I truly believe that a religion can be beautiful, don't get me wrong. And if you are a religious person, there's no judgment from me at all. You're on your path, and I fully support your path. I just personally believe that religion is a place of control. I think based on energy, the energetic scale is fear, guilt, and shame is the lowest vibration. And joy, peace, love, and authenticity is the highest vibration. And if there's anything that I know about religion, and that's all religions, they teach about a fearful God and to fear God and to, you know, there's a lot of guilt in it and shame. And if you don't follow these commandments, you're going to hell. And like, that is all so icky and low vibrational to me. I believe that each and every one of us is going to heaven. I believe heaven is an energy. It's a frequency, and we're all going to the same place. So nobody is going to be left behind. We're all on our own journey, and we will get to that heaven frequency when it's our time. I believe God, source, creator, universe, it's all the same. I think it is just one energy. And it created everything. I believe I am God. I believe you are God. Every single one of us is the fractal. It's the spark we have inside our sacred heart. And we all have the capability of tapping into that divine essence, that divine spark, to bring it back online. Nature has taught me that. Everything in nature is connected to God. Everything in nature is in direct connection with God. That's why cats can communicate with dogs and birds. Everything is in communication telepathically with each other. And us as humans, we are that same exact thing, but we have been, detached from that for so long. And that, I believe, is our evolutionary journey back to the source, back to the one. We are going to come back online to that exact same intuition and connection. And there's already people that have achieved it in this world. And that's what Jesus or Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, Buddha, all of these ascended masters before our time achieved that. And that's why they are in our storybooks, for a purpose, to teach us that we are capable of that same thing. And there's people in this lifetime that have already achieved it, and there's people well on their way to achieving it already. And so don't think for a second that you're going to be left behind. Your time is divinely, you picked it. You picked your path. You picked everything before you incarnated here. And this is just a game, a simulation, if you will. And when our time is over, we just go on to the next game, if you will. So that's my viewpoint. I used to think God is love, but love is just a half truth. Fear is just a half truth. God to me is the neutral, the unconditional love. And unconditional is just that. There are no conditions. So even the murderers, even the rapists, even the icky people that we, label as icky, they're all going back to God too. They're all a part of God. God loves them just the same. It's kind of like you know, as a mother, if heaven forbid one of my kids were to go down a dark path and did something, would I think that it was a horrible thing they did? 100%. But would I not love them? No. I would still have that unconditional love for them no matter what. And that is the energy of God source to me. God to me is both masculine and feminine. It is both, and at the same time, it is everything. It is the dark, it is the light, and it's all within us. So my hopes going forward is just to share my journey, share my ups and downs, the good, the bad. Like I said earlier, I don't want to influence you guys in any way. If it resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, leave your opinions to yourself. Maybe one day you'll see it the way I see it. And my growth is ever changing. My growth is ever evolving. And what I share today might not be exactly what I share 3 months from now. And that is okay. And learning that that's okay to shift when we need to shift, and try certain things on when they resonate, and when they no longer resonate, it's okay to shift out of it. So yeah, that's kind of my hope going forward. I'm just going to be sharing things that bring me joy, and that's going to look like cooking, fitness, tarot, spiritual stuff. You know, I love magic, and so I want to share the magic that happens in my life, the things that I witness, the synchronicities, the winks from God, you know, my angels, all these different things. I'm just going to start sharing and being really open with you guys on my journey. So if you have made it all the way here, I love you. Go ahead and give me like the little like hand heart emoji in the comments. Commenting, sharing, subscribing to my channel helps me grow more than you could ever imagine. And yeah, I'm thankful that you're here. I'm grateful for you being my little cheerleaders, sending me the love, just being a part of my life. I couldn't do this without you guys. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you. Until next time, send you guys so much love.